The assassin.
You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest. You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest.
What up, y'all? You're listening to Sports Talk with Tropp, and I'm your host, Katie Tropp. Well, some pretty interesting games on Christmas Day. I mean, they weren't really all runaways. One kind of was, but two of them actually were not. So let's get right into these Christmas Day games. And I mean, really only one team had anything to play for. I mean, you could argue that Denver has the number one overall seed to play for, of course. But I mean, just generally speaking, the Detroit Lions were pretty much the only team that had some playoff implications yesterday. And we'll just say Detroit do what Detroit do. But we're just going to go in order of the games, beginning with the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Commanders. This one went as expected. As a matter of fact, the Cowboys just came right out the gate and pretty much scored on every drive to start the first half. And then the second half, it was field goal central, but still they were just able to maintain it. They had the lead the whole way. Really, were just kicking Washington's ass for the most part. From start to finish, they got the win 30-23, and it was a meaningless game for both teams, but it was nice to see that even so, they still played like it was a rivalry and like the game still mattered. Dak Prescott went 19 for 37, 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a huge 86-yard touchdown to Kevontae Turpin, which is actually the longest receiving touchdown on Christmas Day in the NFL now. So that was pretty awesome to see. But it was all Cowboys all day in this one. And like I said, they got the win 30-23. Then we had the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. And like I said, Detroit do what Detroit do. They have been such a weird team to watch this year. You just don't know what you're going to get from them. And it's not that they're not talented. They actually got a lot of talent on the field on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. It's just they are not able to put it together. And the Vikings, not a good team at all, but they showed out in this one, and they actually kicked the Detroit Lions' ass 23-10. I mean, Detroit was running for their life yesterday. I mean, Jared Goff had 2 interceptions. He had a fumble. It was just not a good day for the Detroit Lions in any way, shape, or form. They could not get their footing at all. The Minnesota defense just took it to them. Hell, the Vikings, Brosmer, he's their third-string quarterback, was playing yesterday. He had literally one of like the worst games of all time, and the Vikings were able to still get the win 23-10. He had literally 70 yards passing. 70. Like, what the fuck is that shit? But the Vikings got the win, and Detroit is officially out of the playoffs. So another team's playoff hopes have officially been dashed for the season. And, you know, like I said, it's kind of shocking, but at the same time, it's really not, because that's Detroit. That's Detroit football for you. And then the third game we had was the Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs actually came to play in this one. You know, they don't have any playoff implications on the line. They don't have Patrick Mahomes playing. As a matter of fact, they had their third-string quarterback in the game yesterday. But they kept it close. But then Denver pulled away in the second half. And, you know, Denver is just exactly what I've been talking about. Now, they got the win 20-13. But they are a weird team. I don't know if I trust them to win a Super Bowl. I mean, this offense is so weird. It's so shoddy, and you just don't know what you're going to get from them. Defense, great, but they actually did not play that well yesterday. They kind of had some holes in certain situations. I mean, hell, the Chiefs almost tied it up in the end. They were actually driving because it looks like it could potentially be Travis Kelce's last. It might be not only his last game in Kansas City, because their next game is on the road. So this could potentially be his last home game as a Kansas City Chief, regardless of whether he retires or not, because this is his last year of his contract. So if he sticks around, he's not guaranteed to be with the Chiefs. But regardless, that could have potentially been his last game in the Chiefs uniform. And on that last drive, you could tell they were trying to get the ball to him. He actually did. Every time the ball went to him, he was right there. But then once they got in the red zone, the Broncos actually clamped down on Kelce specifically and made sure he didn't get that game-winning touchdown. And the Denver Broncos did eke out the win 20-13, but To me, there's a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball for this Denver Broncos team headed into the playoffs. All right, and let's get back into the rest of Week 17, and also my head-to-head matchup with the homie Simon Ruvalcaba. Last week, I went 10-6 to bring my season total up to 153 wins and 86 losses, and Simon took the 2-game lead last week. He went 12-4. He is up to 155 wins and 84 losses on the season, and we are down the home stretch here, so we'll see how it goes. Over the Christmas Day games, both of us, we had Dallas, Detroit, and Denver, so no changes there. But heading into Saturday's games, we do have one difference, and then he hasn't got me his Sunday picks yet. So we'll see how the rest of the season heads out. But Simon took the big lead last week, and that could be a big deal because these last 2 weeks, you never know what's going to happen. So let's get into the rest of Week 17. We do have some Saturday games again this weekend. The first matchup we have is the Houston Texans at the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, the Chargers are 1.5-point favorite. To me, these teams are very equal. You never know what you're going to get from them on the offensive side of the ball. Houston, their defense is tops in the league. The Chargers' defense, not bad at all. As a matter of fact, they're one of the better defenses in the league. It's just the Chargers, you just never know what you're going to get from them. But with that being said, it's the same thing with the Texans. The Texans' offense has been flying high these last couple of games, but are they going to be able to do that against the Los Angeles Chargers here? I do think it's going to be a close game. I do think it's going to come down to potentially like a game-winning kick or something of that nature. And with that being said, I'm leaning towards the Chargers simply because they're at home. I've got the Chargers winning this one 28-26, and this is my only disagreement so far with Simon over the weekend. He has the Houston Texans winning this one. Then we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Green Bay Packers. Right now, the Packers are a 2.5-point favorite, and it's looking like Lamar Jackson will not be playing in this one, and that is a big deal because if the Ravens lose, they are another team that is out if they lose this one, and I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen here. Baltimore has not been consistent at all. They've not been a good team. They're so weird. They're just not a good team. And it's not even just the injuries because they've had to deal with their injuries. It's just they have not been able to find their footing at any point in the season. And I don't think it's going to happen in Green Bay. Green Bay is a lot more consistent, even though I have questions about Green Bay, but they are way more consistent. They play way better team ball. And they're at home. I do think this is going to be a close game because the Ravens defense has actually been playing better as of late, and I kind of feel like that's how this game is going to go. I kind of feel like it's going to be one of those battles in the trenches. With that being said, though, I'm leaning towards the Packers. Jordan Love is expected to play in this one, so there's going to be no issues there for the Packers. And I just think the Packers are going to play better. I think they're going to get the win, and I think they're going to send the Baltimore Ravens packing into the off season. And I think it's going to be a close one, though. I've got Green Bay winning 21-20. Simon also has Green Bay winning that one. Heading into Sunday's matchups, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Right now, the Steelers are a 4.5-point favorite. Myles Garrett only needs one more sack to break the single-season sack record. I'm really hoping he does it. I want him to do it by a lot. Like I said, my prediction was 25, but I kind of feel like at this rate, that's probably not going to happen. Even though the Steelers' offensive line, not very good. That's why I wouldn't be shocked if he actually ends up with 2 sacks in this game. That's what I'm predicting. Myles Garrett gets 2 sacks in this game, just because that offensive line they have their moments. And by that, I mean they have their bad moments. And this is a division battle, so I actually think this is going to be a very defensive game. But with that being said, though, the Steelers' offense has finally started to find an identity. Their ground attack is really starting to get going. And even with the loss of DK Metcalf, he's going to be suspended these next 2 games. I don't think that's really going to be a big issue, especially up against the Cleveland Browns. I do think Cleveland is going to take it to them. I think they're going to actually play a solid game, and I think it's going to be a close game just because it's a division matchup, and Cleveland don't back down when they're playing the Steelers. They always give a good game. So I've got Myles Garrett with 2 sacks, but I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers getting the win 21-13. Then we have the New Orleans Saints at the Tennessee Titans. Right now, the Saints are a 2.5-point favorite. And the Titans, they got a pretty decent win against the Chiefs last week, so good for them. But I kind of feel like the Saints, they're actually starting to find an identity on the offensive side of the ball. It looks like they found their future at quarterback, at least for now, in Shug. And I just kind of feel like the Saints are a better team. They have a lot more to look forward to, and I just kind of think they're a little bit better. So I've got the Saints winning this one 27-21. Then we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, the Jaguars are 6.5-point favorite. And the Colts are another team where it's like they suffer a loss and they are out. And I just kind of feel like that's what's going to happen. The Jaguars are on a high right now. And I kind of feel like they're just going to keep it moving. They grow more and more confident in every single game. The Colts just haven't found their footing ever since Daniel Jones got injured actually now 3-4 weeks ago. They just haven't really been playing good football over the last month, and I just don't think it's going to magically turn on in this one. It's a division battle, so I do think it's going to be a closer matchup, but I just kind of feel like the Jaguars are going to take the lead from this one and never look back. I've got the Jaguars winning 31-21. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Miami Dolphins. Right now, the Bucs are a 5.5-point favorite, and the Buccaneers need a win more than anything to keep pace with the Carolina Panthers in the division. They gave it up last week to the Panthers, but they definitely need it this week. And Miami's a good get-right team. The Miami is just a garbage-ass team. They're terrible on offense, they're terrible on defense, and they're just a terrible-ass team. Whereas the Buccaneers actually have a lot of talent. They're more healthy now, and I just kind of feel like the Bucs need a good get-right game, and this is it. I've got the Buccaneers blowing out the Dolphins 30-17. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Cincinnati Bengals. Right now, the Bengals are a 7.5-point favorite. Cardinals, terrible-ass team. These are actually two teams that have nothing to play for. The Bengals are just awful on defense, which is what I kind of think is going to happen in this one. I think it's actually going to be kind of a back and forth between Joe Burrow and Jacoby Brissett. Man, Joe Burrow is the much better quarterback. So I do have the Bengals winning a close one, 24-20. Then we have the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. Right now, the Patriots are a 13.5-point favorite, and that sounds about right because I don't think this is going to be a fun game at all for New York Jets fans. I think this is going to be all New England all day. Going to be a nice little get-right game for the Patriots themselves. I think they did win last week, but I think this is going to be one where they just own every second of this game. I've got the Patriots blowing out the Jets 41-10. Then we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Carolina Panthers. Right now, the Seahawks are a 7.5-point favorite, which I think is weird because the Seahawks are not, yes, they're the number one seed right now in the NFC, but they're not 7.5-point favorite. I mean, the Panthers have a good defense, and they pretty much they play close games. I mean, regardless of who they pretty much play close games. So that's kind of weird. They're also the home team, so I kind of feel like you give them a little bit of credit for that. And yes, Seattle's defense is excellent, but their offense is exceptionally shoddy as well. They don't play consistent offensively at all. And I actually kind of feel like this is going to be a defensive battle. I think Carolina is going to take it to Seattle. Now, with that being said, I think Seattle's the better team, and I think Seattle's going to pull it out in the end 21-20, but I don't think this is a 7.5-point favorite game for Seattle. I think Carolina's going to play a close one, and I just think Seattle is the better team, so that's why I'm leaning towards them, but I would not be surprised if Carolina wins that one, actually. Then the afternoon games, we have the New York Giants at the Las Vegas Raiders. Right now, the Raiders are a 1.5-point favorite, and this is literally the battle for the number one overall pick in the draft. These are the two teams. Whoever loses this one is the number one overall pick in the draft. But with that being said, all the players, they're going to show up. But these are two garbage teams. This is like a coin flip to me. I basically picked the Raiders because I hate the Giants. That's why I went with the Raiders. So I've got the Raiders winning a close garbage game, 17-10. And then we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Buffalo Bills. Right now, the Bills are a 2.5-point favorite. Both of these teams, they're very talented. Great on the defensive side of the ball. But then the offense, they're very talented on offense, but you never know what you're going to get from both teams on offense. So with that being said, I feel like this is going to be a battle between two defenses. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a game where both Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are kind of struggling, maybe even on their ass a bit, maybe even have some turnovers here and there. I think it's going to be all defense all day. But I'm leaning towards Buffalo because they're at home. The Eagles are coming off of a win, a solid win too. I just kind of feel like the Bills are playing a little bit better football, but I mean, both of these teams they're so weird. I don't really know what I'm going to get from either of them. So I'm going with Buffalo, A, because fuck the Eagles, but B, also, I'm just leaning towards Buffalo. That's pretty much it. I've got the Bills winning 24-21. And then our Sunday night football matchup is the Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, the Niners are a 2.5-point favorite. Niners are actually playing really solid football right now. To me, they're a very mediocre team. Yes, they're in great playoff contention right now. They have secured a playoff spot, so they're in it. But they're in line for the potentially still their division and everything, but they're just such a middle of the road team. They don't really have anybody besides Christian McCaffrey really standing out on the offensive side of the ball. They have so many injuries, missing so many key players. And then defensively, they're not as scary as they usually have been. Whereas the Bears, this Bears team has played confident every single game this season. They get better every single game. And I just kind of feel like the Bears don't give a fuck where they play. They don't give a fuck who they're playing. And they just don't give a fuck. I think they want to keep it moving, keep on winning, keep playing great football all the way up into the playoffs. They know they're in it, but I think they not only want to win this division, but they just want to keep it moving. I think they just want to tell everybody we are the Bears and we are legit. And I think that's what they're going to do in this game. I think it's going to be a close game because they're two pretty evenly matched teams, but I think the Bears are just a much more confident team, a much better team, and I just like what I'm seeing from the Bears lately. And I've got the Chicago Bears going into San Francisco and getting the win 28-20. We had us a really awesome week of basketball. I mean, this season has been so much fun to watch. We are getting so many. I mean, Nikola Jokic. Can this dude get any more motherfucking dominant? I mean, the week he had, let's just go ahead and start off with Monday. Now, this triple-double he had on Monday, not as dominating as his Christmas Day triple-double, okay? But this dude, I feel like I'm talking about him every single game. So the Denver Nuggets smashed the Utah Jazz 135-112. Jokic had another triple-double, 14 points, 13 assists, and 13 rebounds. So what you call just a typical triple-double. Just, I'm in the game doing my thing. Jamal Murray dropping 27 points in that one. So Denver rolled. Then we had the Golden State Warriors on Monday night as well take down the Orlando Magic 120-97. But the big thing that happened in this one was a huge blow up between Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. I mean, this is not new between both of them. I mean, really between this team. That's why they are where they are. Because they've been around each other. They know how to talk to each other, but they also, when they get into it, they get into it. And Draymond and Kerr were on the bench fighting in a timeout, not like physically fighting, but arguing back and forth. And Draymond just was like, I had enough, and literally walked to the locker room and did not play the rest of the game. They still got the win, though. Steph Curry dropped 26 points. Butler had 21 points, but it definitely was a point of contention. But later in the week, they both were like, yo, this is just us, and we're good, and don't worry about it. Then also on Monday night, the Detroit Pistons continued their dominance. They beat the Portland Trailblazers 110-102. And, man, Durant, he is just owning the paint. He had 26 points and 10 rebounds and really is just carrying this Detroit Pistons squad. Yes, I know Cade Cunningham is the superstar. He's the dude, really. But Durant is really turning it on and just dominating the paint and being that dude that needs to play right along Cunningham and just keep getting wins. But they are looking really solid on the defensive side of the ball right now. Then on Tuesday, the Dallas Mavericks got a nice win over the Denver Nuggets, 131-130. Came down to the last play of the game. Cooper Flagg, 33 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Just an overall excellent game from this dude. Anthony Davis, 31 points and 9 rebounds. So just another solid game from him as well. In a huge win that the Dallas Mavericks really needed over a really solid Denver Nuggets squad. Then on Tuesday, the Minnesota Timberwolves took down the New York Knicks 115-104. Anthony Davis dropped 38 points. Julius Randle dropped 25 points. And Karl Anthony Towns had a double-double with 40 points and 13 rebounds. Then the San Antonio Spurs took down the Oklahoma City Thunder 130-110. Continuing their winning streak. That is their 7th win in a row. Castle had 26 points. Johnson had 25 points. Barnes had 20 points. It is not just Victor Wembanyama on the San Antonio Spurs squad. It is a beautiful team right here. This San Antonio Spurs team is playing some excellent team basketball, and just They're great offensively, defensively, dominating the paint, and they are scared of no one. And they are like the only team right now who is able to solve this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And then we had Christmas Day, and we had pretty much every game was close, except for the two middle ones. But for the most part, they were battles. Beginning with the New York Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers came right out the gate, and it looked like they were going to dominate this one. But then the New York Knicks, they were down 17 points at one point, and they were like, nah. Turned it on in the fourth quarter and actually ended up getting the win, 126-124. Brunson had 34 points, and just a really great game from them. Definitely a win they needed as well. Not a loss that the Cavs needed, but a huge win on Christmas Day from the New York Knicks. And then I was just talking about the Spurs and their domination over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, it turns out on Christmas Day, they played the Oklahoma City Thunder again. And guess what? They kicked their ass again. Third time this season, the Spurs have beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 117-102. Not even close. They are solving this Oklahoma City Thunder Rubik's Cube. They are the only team so far that's really been able to do it. This is their Spurs' 8th win in a row. Victor Wembanyama had 19 points and 11 rebounds, and De'Aaron Fox had 29 points. But they let SGA kind of do his thing and tell the rest of the other squad, come on, bring it to us. And so far, they have yet to figure it out. And Oklahoma City, even though they're still the top team in the league right now, this Spurs team is really starting to fluster them. And we'll see what happens down the road because they face off against each other, I believe, again in January. Then we had the Golden State Warriors versus the Dallas Mavericks. This one kind of started out close, but Golden State had the lead the whole way. They got the win 126-116. Curry dropped 23 points. Cooper Flagg had 27 points. And then Anthony Davis, unfortunately, strained his groin in this one and is injured yet again. So it just is what it is with AD. He comes back and has this huge game earlier in the week and then injures his groin in this one. Then we had the Houston Rockets kicking the shit out of my Los Angeles Lakers, 119-96. This game was never close. Kevin Durant dropped 25 points and 8 assists. And Thompson had 26 points and 7 rebounds and just completely dominated the paint against my Lakers yesterday. It was atrocious basketball from the Lakers. And JJ Redick, the coach, ripped them a new one after that one. He was like, that was trash. I better not fucking see this shit for 53 more games in the season. And I agree, man. Something's got to be done about some of these role players. I mean, Luka, Reeves, LeBron, no issues. But then you got just the other role players are so streaky. They'll have a good game, then they'll have a bad game. And the Lakers probably need to make a move at the trade deadline. It doesn't have to be like a major move, but they probably need to make some type of move if they want to be competitive come playoff time, because Luka can't do it all. That's the thing. If you're not noticing this season, Anthony Edwards, he's an amazing player, and he could drop 30, 40 points a game, but if the rest of the team ain't playing well, then they ain't getting the wins. And then you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. SGA can drop 25, 30 points, but if the rest of the squad around him ain't showing out, then it ain't going to happen. And it's the same thing with Luka. So what? You get a triple-double and have an amazing game. If we lose, it don't matter if the rest of the squad can't step it up. So that's my problem with the Lakers right now. And I mean, Houston took it to us last night. It was all Houston all night. But the game of the night actually ended up being the last game between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Ended up going into overtime. But I did talk about my dude, Nikola Jokic. So Denver got the win, 142-138 in overtime. Jokic had a triple-double. 56 points. Yeah, 5-6. 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists from Nikola Jokic. This dude makes it look so easy, too. It's almost like he barely moves when he's scoring, but he's there. He's just always there, playing basketball, just doing his job. But then Jamal Murray also stepped his shit up, too. He had a double-double, 35 points, 10 assists. And then, like I said, Anthony Edwards can drop 44 points, but what does the rest of the squad do around him? Now, Julius Randle had an excellent game. These last two games, as a matter of fact. But he had an excellent game last night, too. It was just a great game between two great teams last night. And Nikola Jokic just outplayed every single motherfucker on the court yet again. So just a great game, great way to end Christmas Day with the NBA. All right, so let's get into my top 5 list this week. Last week, boxer Terence Crawford announced he is retiring from the sport of boxing. You know, he basically is going out on top. He's 42-0 with 31 knockouts. He started his career in 2008 and ended it this year. So that's a great, long-lasting career. He's the only 4-time division champ ever, and then also joins Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather as the only 4-time lineal division champs as well. So he has really had one of the most stellar careers a boxer could have, and I don't blame him for going out on top. Why the fuck not? And so with that being said, since he's retired, I'm going to go ahead and do the top 5 Terence Crawford fights of all time, just because he is literally one of the greatest boxers of all time. Just he's got amazing skills, and he's one of those boxers who gets better as the fight goes on. He is one of those dudes who can go 12 rounds and give no fucks, and it's like he gets stronger and better, and that's how he beat Alvarez in his last fight. He just is that dude. He never is down and out. As a matter of fact, I think Terence Crawford's career actually would be better because Terence Crawford's not really, how do I put it? He's not like an ass-kissing boxer. I mean, most boxers aren't ass-kissers, but he doesn't play the game, if you will. He just wants to fight, and he wants to do it his way, and he wants to fight. He's another dude, too, who's like moved up in different rank weights, or different weights classes, and he's just that dude who always wants to fight. But they held him back from some really big fights that could have made him more of a household name. Obviously, 42-0 as your career, that's a great career. But I think he would have a few more bigger matchups throughout his career had he, quote, kissed the ring, if you will, in certain instances. As a matter of fact, I kind of think one of the reasons why he's retiring is because he's sick of just all the corruption that is involved in boxing. And I kind of feel like he should just step away and just go out on top and say, you know what, I've done my thing. I've accomplished a lot. I've made a lot of money, and I've made my name. I've paved my way. I'm one of the greatest of all time, so fuck y'all, I'm going out. And that's kind of what I feel about Terence Crawford, is I think he'd be more of a household name if he kissed the ring, if you will. So let's get into my top 5 Terence Crawford fights of all time, beginning with number 5, which I think is kind of like his breakout moment. It was against Ricky Burns in March 1st of 2014, and it was basically his first title ever. This was then that's why I call it his introduction to boxing. He had already been in, obviously, he started in 2008, so he already was in boxing for quite some time. But this was it. This was when you knew he was elevating to another level. He was that dude. This one went 12 rounds, and it was a unanimous decision. Ricky Burns at the time was he was a great fighter. So it's not like he was going up against a tomato can or anything. Like I said, he had a title at that point, and he was able to take the title from him. And like I said, this was the welcome to the world moment for Terence Crawford. Then at number 4 on my top 5 Terence Crawford fights, Victor Postol. He fought him May 3rd of 2016. Both of these guys were undefeated heading into this one. As a matter of fact, Postol was kind of like this European sensation. He was a dude who was trying to make his way through Europe, and then he was going to be that dude who took over boxing. Well, not in this one. This was actually what you would call a trademark fight for Terence Crawford, meaning this is where he finally became that dude who got stronger as the match wore on. Every single round, he actually got stronger. He wouldn't fall back, whereas Postol actually did start to fall back in this one. Each and every round, just Crawford started to get stronger and push more and more away. This one did go 12 rounds as well, but Crawford walked away with the win in this one. Then at number 3 on my top 5 Terence Crawford fights versus Sean Porter on November 20th of 2022. He basically sent Porter into retirement in this one. This was a 10th round technical knockout. As a matter of fact, Porter's corner basically threw in the towel in this one just because he was getting beat so bad. Because that's the thing with Crawford, man. He is just a killer. He's so fast, and he just has so many technical. He's just so technical. He's just so beautiful with his hands, and he's so fast. You never know what's going to happen, and that's what happened in this one. Porter just never knew what was happening to him in this one, and that's why finally in the 10th round, his corner was like, boom, we got to get this dude out of here, and he sent Sean Porter into retirement. Then at number 2 on my Tropp 5 Terence Crawford Fights versus Errol Spence on July 29th of 2023. These two were always linked for actually many, many years. I want to say about 3-ish years. It was like, they're going to fight, they're going to fight, they're going to fight. And something always got in the way. And they were just always linked. And when they finally got in the ring together, because Spence was talking a lot of shit. Now, don't get me wrong, Crawford talks his shit too, but Crawford's that type of dude where he's like, nah, I'll talk my shit after I kick your motherfucking ass. And that is exactly what he did in this one. 9th round technical knockout. He actually he moved up 2 weight divisions for this one, and ended up in the 4-belt winning 2 weight divisions in a 4-belt era. So this was just not only kicking the dude's ass, but he just took those 2 belts and it was like, nah, these are mine, bitches, in a 4-belt era. And it's just the way he dominated in this one was just insane. And Errol Spence definitely shut the fuck up after that one. But number 1 on my Tropp 5 Terence Crawford Fights, obviously, is versus Canelo Alvarez. The one he just had in September 13th of 2025. His last fight ever. And it is a great way to go out. I mean, at first, it looked like Canelo was going to do Canelo things in this one. But no, Terence Crawford did Terence Crawford things in this one. Like I said, Terence Crawford gets stronger as the fight progresses on, and that is exactly what happened in this one. I mean, it's really difficult to make Canelo Alvarez look like Boo Boo the Fool, because I'm a big Canelo fan. I love Canelo Alvarez. I've always loved Canelo Alvarez, but Crawford is a beast, and he showed him. I mean, there's the obvious moment where he just, boom, You know Alvarez is seeing stars in that one where he just knocks him in the next Saturday, basically. And it was a dominating performance from Crawford. And to me, it's just a great way to go out. Beat arguably the greatest boxer of this generation against Canelo Alvarez. And Terence Crawford did it in such dominating fashion. It's like, yeah, you do kind of sometimes want to just go back and have the part 2 versus Canelo, but why? He doesn't, Terence Crawford's not one of those dudes who's hurting for money, so he doesn't have to do this for money anymore. He's 42-0, 31 knockouts. He's been one of the most dominating dudes of his entire era. He's won at different weight classes. Like I said, he's the 4-time division champion. What does he have to prove? Literally nothing. And he took down Canelo Alvarez because that was, over the years, that's what it's been. Who's better between Canelo and Crawford? And Crawford moved up a weight to go up against the dude in boxing right now and dominated that one. That had to be the number 1 Terence Crawford fight of his entire career. So shout out to Terence Crawford. I mean, the thing with boxing, all these dudes say they retire, and then a couple years later, here they are again. So I wouldn't be shocked if he and Canelo fight again. But at the end of the day, like I said, Crawford has nothing to prove. And like I said, I think he's just sick of dealing with all the stupid, corrupt bullshit that comes along with being a boxer. He has nothing to prove. So why not just go out on top and say, sayonara, motherfuckers, and just do you, man. I just sit around and live the good life, I guess. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of the weekend of sports, and I will talk to you on Monday.